Today we want to demonstrate the differences when installing the 700R4 in place of the Turbo Hydromatic 180 in your LLV. As you can see, these are all the necessary parts to install the conversion with the Jasper cable system, and also the parts necessary for the ready-built styled cable system. Okay, the first and probably the most significant difference between the 180 and the 700 conversion is this bracket right here, which was originally mounted right here with these two bolts. We're going to remove it and bolt it to this offset bracket, then bolt the offset bracket back to the frame using the same original bolts into the same original holes. This will in turn allow us to connect our shift linkage exactly the same as it was on the original 180. Now when making an adjustment, we want to place the transmission in the neutral position, the gear shift lever in the neutral position, and then lock off the bolt. And that's all there is to adjusting the linkage. This is the ready-built cable styled assembly. And what we'll need to do to mount it is remove this bracket, which is mounted with these two bolts. Install this bracket in its place, secured back with these two bolts. Same bolts that held the original bracket. Next, the shift rod comes down from the top, just like with the other cable system, and putting the transmission in neutral, putting the gear shift lever in neutral, locking the bolt off is all there is to the adjustment. Both cable kits include these two spacers. They're designed to space forward the hanger assembly so as the longer transmission will not affect the position of the hanger on the exhaust system. When performing a conversion to a 2.5 liter application, you'll notice the exhaust bracket is completely different. The other one we use spacers on, this one we will change the entire bracket. As you can see, there's a considerable difference in the length of drive shafts required when doing the conversion. The 700R4 is a much longer transmission than the TH180, which requires a shorter drive shaft. One of the necessary modifications when doing this is to modify the cross member. As you can see, we're going to use a die grinder with a burr to elongate the slotted hole 1/4 inch back towards the cross member itself. Then we'll use the muffler cutter attachment with our die grinder and actually cut the front lip of the cross member off. This is going to allow us to use 4 mounting bolts, 2 on each side, plus leave us access to be able to service it by removing the pan, as well as not putting a bind on the motor mount. Earlier we showed you the modification necessary for the cross member. Wanted to show you why. As you can see here, we removed 1/4 inch from the back side of this slot. This still gives us room without binding the mount. The area that we cut off at the front, as you can see, now allows us to still have access for servicing the transmission without the pan catching on the mount. This will enable us to still use 4 bolts to mount the cross member, 2 on each side. One important thing to remember when installing the 700 is that it does have a much greater volume of oil flow through the cooler circuit than does the TH180. So it's imperative that we change the cooler system and not use the one that's within the radiator, as it would be too restricting. We offer a cooler kit with our conversions. They come with 2 stainless steel braided flexible cooler lines, the cooler itself, and 2 mounting brackets. And as you can see, the cooler sets inside the mounting brackets. There's 2 notches in the mounting bracket that aligns with the fitting on the cooler, 4 1/4 inch bolts. Then the cooler will slide into the front of the radiator, the slotted areas slipping onto the bottom of the radiator support, and the top holes will align with the existing holes that mount the fan shroud, and the bolts used to secure this will be the same bolts when we mount the fan shroud back. It will sandwich it in, and that's all there is to mounting the cooler kit. We'll need to secure the cooler lines with a bracket mounted with a sheet metal screw here at the top of the inner fender. Then we will also have several plastic ties sent along. It's important to secure the lines together to whereas they do not rub against anything. Okay, one important thing we must do on this bracket here securing the shift cable, there's a 1/4 inch hole drilled through the bracket. Use one of these plastic ties and go through this 1/4 inch hole and secure your fuel lines. This will keep them from vibrating and causing premature wear. All right, first thing we're going to need to do is set our cable stop in the correct position. To do this, there's 2 steps, a rough adjustment and a fine adjustment. First, we're going to use a 17mm wrench, rotate the throttle to wide open throttle position. We're going to pull our cable out and just hold the ear close to where the pin's going to be, as you can see. Now with that in position, we will lock off the stop. Okay, secure the stop. Now this little teardrop piece here, as you can see, will snap onto the T-bolt. Now, release the adjustment lock on the cable. This makes the cable completely free. We're going to put the wrench back on the throttle, rotate to full throttle position. Then, with your right hand, you'll want to pull the cable out to where it's tight and then lock it off. That's all there is to adjusting the TV cable on the 700 conversion. When installing a conversion in a vehicle with a 2.5, it will be necessary to change the throttle cam assembly, as the 180 uses a kick down or detent cable. The 700R4 uses a throttle cable. The difference is the throttle cable must move from the idle position throughout instead of just the last percentage of throttle movement. So we will furnish you with a new throttle cam. Install the throttle cam in the same position as the original one. Once you've installed it, the TV cable will connect into this portion of it right here. We will install the cable, depress the button, pull the cable back. Okay, now that it's in a relaxed position, we'll apply the throttle to full throttle position. Okay, it's self-adjusted. It is now fully adjusted correctly.